Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. I see you, brother. Yeah. It's be another few minutes. It's a beautiful day out here, though. Like I said, we got lucky. We got very lucky as it was on fire yesterday. And we were out actually. We were in South Sacramento yesterday. Me, Jay, and one of our other partners in Zinga, who's probably going to be here shortly. We were out in South Sacramento giving out reparations information flyers. By the way, if you don't have one of these or some of these, this is basic California. Oh, 1, 2, mic check. My mic went out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, yeah. No worries. Hey, it's live TV, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, mic check. All right, they're getting it right. Okay, there we go. There it is. You got it back. Right on. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you. So, as I was saying, if you don't have one of these or some of these, some basic California reparations information flyers. So please make sure you get some. We were out in South Sacramento yesterday. We were on Florin Road at the Shashamene Institute groundbreaking, which is new. Uh, it's going to be a new cannabis cultivation facility that's going up probably in the next couple of years, I believe, year or so. They just broke ground yesterday, so we were out there handing out flyers. Again, if you don't have any of these, some of these, please get some. And then we went to 2251 Florin Road for the second Saturdays at Florin Square, which they normally do the first and third Saturdays, but now they just added the second Saturday. So we were out yesterday at Florin Square. Also, we also stopped at a couple of gas stations in the middle on along the way and gave out some flyers of people pumping gas and people, buying gas, So it was a great day yesterday. We gave out about 150 of these and about 100 other flyers too. So again, if you don't have some of these, make sure you leave with some. I got a bunch of my book bag over there too. So I'm gonna get us started actually, if that's okay with the folks. So we live outside, and look, we really outside. Okay, you're gonna hear stuff in the background. By stuff, I mean people and music, because we actually outside in Sacramento at the Capitol. First of all, for those of us who are here today, if you can make your way to the seats, we got a bunch of seats here, and as you're making your way to the seats and having a seat, again, I want to appreciate you for taking your time this Sunday to come and talk about reparations at the Capitol. First of all, put your hands together for yourselves for being here today on a Sunday, right on, at the California Capitol, rallying for reparations. My name is Chris Lodgson. I am an organizer. I am an activist. I am a reparationist here in the state of California. Been doing organizing work for reparations for several years now here in the state of California. And I am with the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, or CJEC. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. CJEC, which is the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. We are a California-based grassroots coalition of organizations and associations and just regular Black folks, like we like to call ourselves, working for reparations and reparative justice here in the state of California. We are one of the California Reparations Commission's 6 community anchor organizations. So the California Reparations Commission, which I'll talk to you about in more detail shortly, has said do community outreach, and they want to use community organizations to do that community outreach. And they selected 6 what they call community anchor organizations to do that outreach. Our organization, CJEC, is one of them. And so we are doing community outreach all across the state for reparations. By the way, if you are in the Los Angeles, Southern California area, next Saturday and Sunday, we will be in Los Angeles in Leimert Park doing both a reparations listening session and a host of other reparations activities on Saturday and Sunday in Leimert Park. That's next week, June 18th and June 19th. So make sure you are out there. If you are in the Southern California area, whether you're in San Diego, you could drive up. Whether you in LA, somewhere else, drive in. And also, we're going to be down there. So we driving down from Sacramento. So be there next week. So that's also as one of the 6 community anchor organizations as recognized by the California one of the lead organizers for CJEC. It's a bunch of great people that do a bunch of great work at CJEC. And today, I am going to start us off with some basic California reparations information and then take us right to the next part of the program. Before I do that, though, I want to just give you an overview of what we're going to do today. After I finish talking, I'm going to bring up someone from the city of Sacramento, a great person who's doing a bunch of great work here in the city by the name of Kelly Rivas. After Kelly, I'm going to bring up Bishop Williams, who is from the city of Oakland and has come all the way up from Oakland to talk to us about his experience and what he's working on and wants to see happen in Oakland. After that, we're going to hear from Michael Harris, who is the resident California African-American historian, knows more about California's Black history than I think, if not almost anyone, probably anyone here in the state of California, has done a bunch of great work on our history and recognizing who we are and making this building right behind me recognize who we are as a people. So we'll hear from Michael Harris. After that, then we'll hear from Sam Starks. I'm not sure if Sam is here yet, but we'll hear from Sam Starks. Sam will talk to us about tracing our lineage. After that, we'll hear from someone who I got the pleasure to meet in person yesterday for the first time, but have seen her before because she's done such amazing work here. Actually, she has testified to the actual state reparations commission. I believe it was in either February or January, one of those two, one of the first couple of months of this year. We'll hear from Dr. Christy Hagens, who will talk to us about generational trauma. And then we will hear from one of our most esteemed, one of our most appreciated brothers, the brother by the name of Samuel Nathaniel Brown, who is the original author of something we call ACA 3, which is a bill that will become a proposition for us to vote on at some point, and this will end current slavery going on right now in state prisons. Right now, you can be forced to work, you can be enslaved if you are punished for a crime, and that is still on California's Constitution. You can still be forced to work or made to work, forced labor, if you are punished for a crime here in the state of California. So Samuel Brown did 24 years in prison and is out now, I want to say no more than 150 days, and wrote what we now call ACA 3 while he was sitting in a cell after he was being forced to work in a state prison. After Samuel, we'll hear from Gary Simon, who will talk to us about Juneteenth. We are 1 week away from Juneteenth, which you all know is now a federal holiday, which this will be the second year, I think, in a row. This is a federal holiday. And Gary Simon, rather, will talk to us about Juneteenth. I believe also then we will hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have a virtual testimony, a virtual talk from the chair of the California Reparations Commission. Am I still correct on that? Camila Moore? Okay, right on. So we'll have the chair of the California Reparations Commission who will stream live in from Los Angeles. That is none other than Camila Moore. And then after that, there will be some Q&A, and we'll take a bunch of pictures, and then we'll get you back on your way for your Sunday. So only other thing for me to say are a few things you need to know about California's Reparations Commission. California in 2020, for those of y'all who don't know, California did something that no other state has done before, and still no other state has done after. In 2020, California passed a law that created the state's first in the nation Reparations Commission. Put your hands together, please, for California being the first state in the country to actually create a reparations commission. The law that created this commission was written by now currently California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. Please put your hands together for Dr. Weber. Shirley Weber, Secretary of State Weber. Let me put some respect on her name. Secretary Weber. She drafted the bill, wrote and championed the bill in 2019, late 2019 and early into 2020, and worked as an assembly member to get the bill into law. And that bill, the bill that created California's first in the nation reparations commission, is called AB 3121. So for those of y'all watching, those of y'all who going to Google, those of y'all who going to watch later, AB 3121 is the bill that created California's first in the nation reparations commission. If you want to look it up, I suggest you do. The commission has 9 members. There are 9 members of the California Reparations Commission. I'll just briefly go over their names. But like I said, if you have one of these, you can scan your phone. There's a QR code. It'll take you right to their bios. So make sure you have one of these, like I said. So the chair of the commission, who I said just a minute ago will be here live with us today, is Camila Moore. After that, we've got Vice Chair Amos Brown, Dr. Amos Brown, rather. We've got Senator Stephen Bradford. Senator Stephen Bradford works right here behind me in this building. We've also got State Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer, who also works right behind me in this building. We've got San Diego City Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp, who's also on the California Reparations Commission. I believe she's out of District 4 in San Diego. We've got Dr. Javon Scott Lewis out of UC Berkeley on the Reparations Commission. We've got Don Tamaki, attorney Don Tamaki, on the California Reparations Commission. We've got attorney Lisa Holder, who's also on the California Reparations Commission. And then last but not least, we have Dr. Cheryl Grills, also a member of the California Reparations Commission. So those are your 9 commission members. The commission has 2 years to do 3 things. 2 years to do 3 things, generally speaking. The first thing the commission has to do is collect the evidence, build the case, investigate slavery and Jim Crow in the state of California and across the nation. That's the first thing. The second thing the commission has to do is figure out ways to educate the California public about what it figures out, what it finds out, what its investigation says. The third thing it has to do, and this is where we are now in the process, the third thing the commission has to do is actually create a reparations plan. Create a reparations plan. This plan will be the first of its kind in the state of California, probably in the nation. I don't think we've actually seen a state level actual reparations plan in the history of California. So this will be the first time we actually see something like this. Please put your hands together for that, first of all, that we actually will have a statewide reparations plan sometime, actually, hopefully by the end, actually next year this time. So California will be the first state to create a reparations plan. That's the third thing the commission has to do. What's up, Sam? Good to see you, brother. What up? What up? That's the first. That's the last job of the reparations commission, and that is where the commission is right now in its work. So the commission has to, by law, hold 10 public hearings, and it also added to the 10 public hearings 12 community listening sessions. So the commission will also be holding 12 community listening sessions, and the quote unquote community anchor organizations are all across the state right now holding community listening sessions. So that is about all I'm going to share with you about California's Reparations Commission. By the way, like I said, don't worry about that. By the way, make sure you get some of these. Okay? Make sure you get some of these. These have all the information that you need to know about California's Reparations Commission in them. So I'm going to end there. I'm going to now go to our next speaker, and I see all these people pulling up for us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's right. Reparations. Reparations. Yeah. Reparations. That's why we here. Reparations. Yeah. So, and I'm gonna say it again. When we have the reparations parade in 2 years, okay, we are gonna be on. So, having said that, that's why I got stuff flying around. No worries. We rather have it breezy and cool than what it was yesterday and the day before yesterday, which was hot and dry and hot. So, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Right on. Also, hold on. Before I even go any further, I want to give a big shout out to ETM Media Group. Please put your hands together for ETM Media Group, who is live streaming this right now. That's right. Yes, right now. You are live. You on YouTube right now. Hi. Okay. You are on YouTube right now. We are live streaming this rally for reparations right here at the state capitol. So you are live right now while we are streaming. And I want to give a big shout out to ETM Media. Make sure you check out their website, etmmediagroup.com. Also, subscribe to ETM Media Group at ETM Media Group on YouTube as well. ETM Media Group streams each and every single one of the California Reparations Commission hearings. So if you missed any of the hearings, make sure you go to ETM Media Group and watch the hearings that you missed. Okay, so I am going to now go to our first speaker here outside or after myself, and I want to thank this person for patiently waiting with us as we got started here. I want to introduce someone from the city of Sacramento who is going to be very involved in what the city of Sacramento does for reparations. As you may or may not know, there are probably, I want to say, more than 10, probably as many as 15 cities and local governments working on something like reparations across the country. So in 10 to 15 cities all across the country, there is something going on that is reparations related. Sacramento is one of those cities. And I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to introduce you to the person who is here in the city of Sacramento working on reparations, and that is none other than Kelly Rivas, who is Sacramento's racial equity advisor to the mayor of Sacramento. Kelly, please come on up and talk to us for a few minutes. Kelly.
Oh, thank you, Chris. All right, good afternoon. Thank you. A little better? Yeah. Okay, I think we're settled. All right, UC Davis Health, thanks for coming out to support reparations. I see all of you. That's right, that's what we're here for. My name's Kelly Fong Rivas. I'm thrilled to be here today. Thank you for all of the work that CJEC has been doing as one of those anchor institutions you heard that will be doing listening sessions throughout the state as part of the work that our California Reparations Task Force is doing. I work for the mayor of Sacramento, Darrell Steinberg. We are a part of the Moore Coalition. It is a mayoral coalition of mayors organized for reparations and equity and racial justice. Some of the work that we have been doing so far is really gathering enough resources, like Chris had said earlier, evidence, stories, collecting that so that our community can come together to lead the process of putting together an actual plan. It's not my space, it's not the mayor's space, it's not the city space to say what should be done. We just know it needs to be done, and the experts with lived experience are not us, those are ours. Friends, those are our families, those are our residents living in community that are the ones that we want to bring together to empower. So to that end, I'm in this role now. I was the chief of staff for the mayor for about 5 years, switched over now to become the racial equity advisor so I can solely focus my time on advancing racial equity. Reparations is one of the initiatives we are focused on because it's critical for what we see needs to happen in our city and in our community and country. So far, what I've been able to do in the 1 month that I've been in this role officially and doing some of the work is pull together some resources for us to be able to do this. We've got $200,000 set aside from our mid-year budget to start this process. We have grad students and different MPH students who have donated 60 hours, 90 hours or more this summer to help us continue to do that research. They will be talking with experts like Mr. Michael Harris over here to understand what's happened and put together really a community-led process. So that's what we're hoping to do in Sacramento to make sure we can translate the good work that the state is doing and leading on here at the local level for our residents. So with that said, I really look forward to doing a lot more of this work with all of you. I hope all of you out there continue to listen and come and engage with us as well. We have a lot to get done. And I'll hand it back over to Chris, I believe, instead of our next speaker. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. Shout out to the city of Sacramento actually being out here, stepping up and doing something for reparations. Put your hands together one more time for Kelly Rivas, please. Thank you much. So at this point in time, I'm going to do something special actually because originally we had, we had our list of speakers, and then on Thursday or Friday, I got an email from someone in the Bay Area, actually, someone from Oakland, and they said, "Hey, you got to talk to this brother. This brother needs to be on your program. This is one of our elders. This is one of our elders, and he needs to come and have a space on your program and actually talk about what he's seen and also what he wants to see as reparations." And I want to introduce this brother, but also let him talk about himself. And yeah, if we could, uh, we can actually bring him up here now. Um, but before I do that, I want to remind everybody, if you don't have one of these, make sure you get one of these. These are reparations information flyers. Got a bunch of information about California reparations and the California Reparations Commission in these flyers. So make sure you get one of these before you go. And as I put that back down, so I want to introduce right now Bishop Williams from Oakland. Please put your hands together for Bishop Williams from Oakland, who's going to talk to us about his story and about what he wants to see. Can y'all give him a hand? Thank you, brother. Yeah, give him a hand, brother. There you go. Come on up here, brother. Yeah, bring your chair up here too. Yeah, bring your chair up here. We'll. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, it's windy, but that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Thank you. Come on up here, Bishop. This is one of our elders. We got to make room and space for our elders. Yeah.
Thank you all. God bless you. And it's a pleasure being here and seeing everyone. The first thing I would like to say, because I'm a bishop and I also have a doctrine, okay, in the gospel. And I will share with you that anything that bothers anything on your mind, anything hurting you or anyone, check yourself and pray. Check yourself. There's power in the hand. The blood is not on the doorpost no more. It's in our hand because Jesus has rose. Okay? Thank you. God bless. That's healing. Excuse me. I want to say that I'm from Alabama originally. I was born and raised in the cotton field. And I've seen so much as a young man, and I've been through so much, you know. I was a runner. When I wasn't behind a mule, I was running, okay? I grew up running. My mom and daddy sent me to the store, anywhere I would run. And my daddy, was raised by his grandfather because his father had killed 20-some, about 20 to 29 Ku Klux Klan there in Abbeville. A whole mob crew that had been doing a lot of things, hanging and killing a lot of black. And my grandfather, I never used his name. My daddy's daddy, he killed all of them, every one of them. And he was a gunman. He came from Georgia because he had killed some white people over there because they had hung one of his brothers. and he was a real gunman. He come to Alabama on a horse with a Winchester that shoot 20 rounds in 2 Pearl 45s. That's what he used in the shootout, killing all these people. But I want to say that if people tried to kill me, and I was 17 years old, people around my house, my mother and father's house, all night long, waiting on me to come home. It just so happened that night I went to church because I had promised some girls about 20 miles away that I was coming to their church. They having a revival. And that's the reason I'm here today. The Lord took me to church on a Wednesday night. And I come back. My daddy come up 2 days later and got me. But I want you to know, the guy that framed me, trying to get me killed, I had plowed his garden one time for him and charged him $2.75, and he cussed me out. And what I did then is and he cussed me out that he was gonna get even with what he was doing. But the girl he was accusing me of was his stepdaughter. She told the truth. I ain't had nothing to do with her. Her stepfather did, you know, and that happened a lot throughout the country. A lot of people get killed, ain't did nothing. I'm a living witness to that, and I know that. And but I was born and raised in the cotton field, and I said I was a runner and everything, and I've seen so much happen and everything like this. I used to have to walk 5 miles to school. That was one way. They had buses for the white kids, but not for the blacks, you know. And we're still going through a lot of that today. They have a lot of things for the race, but not for black. I go through something. I've been in Oakland for about 40 years. There's a lot of things that the city is, and blacks, I've been speaking to them for years, asking people to stand up and support. People must do that. And there's one thing in civil rights we need to do. We need to get the churches, the leaders of the churches, involved in our community and building, making things better for black, because they hide. A lot of churches didn't support, leaders didn't support Martin Luther King. I know that because I was there with Martin Luther King. I was there when he first come to speak there in 1963. He was teaching at that time, keep the kids out of the fields, keep them in school. He said, because 10 years from the day, they can't go nowhere and get a job without a high school diploma or 2 years in college. Dr. King was teaching that. But I have something written here that this brother have here. It was written 20-something years ago. I'm asking for $21 billion per year to be spent on black people. See, I'm listening to and everything people are doing, but don't put the money last. You know, put the money first, and then all this other stuff. Let's do all this other stuff here. Put the money first. Our people need money. They need money. They need their money. Okay, and now that is one of the things. We need our money, and the money is there. The money, gold, and land. I need some people to come on committee with me, and let's file for 30,000 acres of land in the state of California for black people. 30,000. acres of land.
30,000 acres.
That's what's owed to black people right here. You see, the 40 acres of the mule come out to 30,000, you know, for each state. 40 acres of mule. Family, 40 acres, they get 40 acres of family. But the whole state, it was 30,000 acres of land, okay? And it's there for us, okay? And it's not 40 acres in the mule no more. It's 40 acres in a tractor.
Right.
40 acres in a tractor now. Okay, all right. I appreciate being here. I've been working in this for many, many years. And this man right here, Carpenter, he's one of the biggest Ku Klux Klan in America. Okay, and he run Oakland. He run Oakland, a lot of the state. This man right here. So see, the government in 1850, when California become a state, it become a slave state. And the government gave this man 3 miles on each side of the tracks. That's the reason you see on one side of the track in most of the countries, cities in America, most of the slave camp was on the right-hand side. You know what I mean? They call them quarters, dewdrop ends, and all like that. Those were slave camps in the 1800s, you know, for blacks. So right there in Oakland, that was a big slave camp where Mills College is.
In the mass media
Slave
group is
camp.
California Cap.
And there was over 200 blacks up there cutting down trees for over 10 years. Okay, these are redwood trees. All the homes in the Bay Area are built out of redwood trees. Years ago, slaves cut them down. And there was 1,000 mules in West Oakland. And they used these 1,000 mules to pull the logs down to the Port of Oakland. The Port of Oakland at that time had 13 sawmills down there running, cutting up the logs, okay? And they had a slave camp there at the Port of Oakland. They had one on top of the hill where all the people were. I've been to one of the slave masters' house, still sitting there, where you go up in the hills there by Mills College. One of the slave masters lived in that house. They tore down one of their houses, but they're still there. And there's a lot of blacks that's buried there in the back of that Mills College. And what they have done over the years, every church, you know, churches here years ago used to do just like the churches down south. They had a cemetery, you know, by the church, behind the church. Blacks had that here in San Francisco and Oakland. But they built over all our cemeteries, plied them up, maybe they built over all the black cemeteries. And so you don't know nowhere where no black person is buried in San Francisco and Oakland and in the 1800s. They got one place, a few blacks is buried there in Piedmont. What they call, I'm gonna say it like this, what they call, they had the house nigger and the field nigger. Y'all know about that, how they did that, right? Those are the ones who buried in Piedmont, the house nigger. They call it house nigger. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But this man here, he run the Port of Oakland for 40 years. The Port of Oakland wasn't run by the city or the state or the county. It was run by this man, railroad man, for 40 years. So what we want to do...
One more minute, brother.
Okay. We want all this money back from him and all the money from the Port of Oakland. And it's many, many millions from both of them in land. Port of Oakland land and railroad land. We not only want land from the state, at 30,000 acres, we want land from the railroad companies. I have the proof of what the railroad done in Oakland and San Francisco. I get this man right here 2 bills, right?
Yep, I got them over there.
That's been filed in court. We went to court on it. Okay. But the thing that we need to do is continue to tell the truth and speak the truth,
Right.
to our young people,
Right.
to everybody. Okay. And we need to perform a black press because the white press won't do news around us. Channel 7, Channel 2 been had stuff on me for a lot of years, but they won't let the public know about it. They keep it hidden. But it's going to break after a while. It's going to happen.
Thank you, brother.
Thank y'all, and God bless you.
Thank you. Some help get the bit of.
You don't have to go to this microphone as well because
Okay.
it's getting feedback.
Okay. Let me give him a hand though. Let me give him a hand.
Thank you. Appreciate being down here.
I appreciate that, sir. All right, we're going to do a quick technical setup real quick, and then we'll be back with the next speaker shortly.
One, two, 1, 2. Y'all, please put your hands together one more time for Bishop Williams. Put your hands together for Bishop Williams, and if you could give me that program again. I think I'm bringing up Michael Harris next. So again, we are here rallying for reparations. I see the whole crowd is here for the reparations. So good to see the whole crowd here for reparations. So next, and again, we had, and Bishop Williams was actually added to the program really just in the last 24, 48 hours, actually. We had a bunch of great speakers, which we still do, but we got some outreach from Mr. Williams' team yesterday or the day before. We had to get him up here, and as you can see, we are lucky to have Bishop Williams here. And we was actually out canvassing in Southside yesterday, like I said, and one of the conversations we had with some of the elders, they said, pay the elders first. Pay the elders first was one of the things that some of the elders told us just yesterday. So right, exactly. And Bishop Williams, I think, said it right. He wants $20 billion per year here in the state of California and 30,000 acres of land. I'm not arguing with none of that. Okay, I agree with all of that. All right. So next up, we got a brother who has been doing a lot of great work here in the state and also in the city of Sacramento, and has a lot of historical knowledge that you need to hear, that you about to hear about reparations here in the state of California. So as soon as y'all give me the green light here, I'll bring the brother up. But while I'm doing that, while we getting ready, once again, we got flyers for you to take with you. Hopefully, Darlene, if I could borrow you for a minute, Darlene, where you at, Darlene? If I could borrow Darlene to get some reparations flyers out to some of the people. I got them in my bag back there. So Kim, if you could go into my book bag when you get a minute, grab some of them reparations information flyers. We got to make sure people know what's going on here in the state of California about reparations. So yeah, they're in my black bag too, Kim, by the way. So make sure you grab some of those too. And we got some in the chairs here too, people. So make sure you grab some flyers for reparations. Get people the information about reparations that you know, your friends, your family. Without further ado, though, I'm going to bring up our next speaker. You still done set up? Okay, so I'm going to bring up the next speaker, and I'm going to stop speaking so they can set up. Our next speaker is none other than Michael Harris. Michael, please come up. Please put your hands together for Michael Harris. Right on. Give this to you.
You can raise it a little bit. I'm gonna try to put a timer on here so I could, because I might go all day. I'm not gonna do that. That's perfect. So first, I'll introduce myself. My name is Michael Harris. Kubaka is a title that I hold. Kubaka is an ancient name. There's a place along the Hapai rivers. Most of y'all know it as the Nile. Ancient Kui is the land of the esteemed ancestors. So one day, when I lay down after doing this work here on earth, I hope to be with the esteemed ancestors, and somebody one day will call my name if and I do the work right. In ancient traditions from long ago, when Septepi, when being came into being, before we give information, we ask the ancestors to speak. So I've been given a nod by the elder because the ancestors come through him and her. So we call the spirits of the ancestors. We say Ashe, which is a word that means so be it, and it is. The notion that we're on the steps of the state of capital California, the capital of the 5th largest economy on the planet, and we're here talking about reparations. In my humble opinion, we haven't done a strong enough case to honor the ancestors to be able to even say the word reparations. What are you asking reparations for? Who was egregiously harmed? So we call the spirit. Before there was slavery, there were African people. We call the spirits. We call the spirits. And we bring it into modern times. When papal edict in 1442, Nicholas V sent military conquest, Spain and Portugal, down into Kikongo, Africa, to capture prisoners of war and bring them to the Western Hemisphere in the bottom of a slave ship, chained and enshackled for a lifetime of utility, free labor, stripped from your name, stripped from your language, stripped from your culture. We call on the spirits of the ancestors that didn't make it. There is a line through the ocean bottom of bodies that were eaten by sharks. Ashe. So my ancestors, Alabama, the last slave ship was the Clotilde on the Tongbigbe River at the Spanish port of Mobile Bay. You go past, up the Tongbigbe, you pass Black Warrior River, you pass the other river, you get to Choctaw County. Choctaw, one of the so-called civilized tribes, because they own slaves. And we had to hunt them down with this horn, Buffalo Soldiers, after the Civil War, because they wouldn't give up. We call on the spirits of all those that had to endure that pain. Here in the land of Khalifa, The land of Khalifa. The state of California is named after an African indigenous woman slinging bows and arrows at Hernan Cortez in 1535 down in a place called La Paz. And then up there is La Venta and Molgue. La Venta is on the other side. Molgue is on this side. Every 30 miles is a military camp called a presidio. Next to that is a mission. Every 30 miles from the tip of Baja California Sur to Baja California Norte, which is where we are in Northern California. Enslavement of people of African descent for 400 years plus, and another 100 years of infliction. Let me carry on, get to Negro Bar. 1821, New Spain. The land that we're standing on for since 1535 was, let me take a sip of this. The enslavement of people of African descent here in California on the lands that we call Baja California Sur, Baja California Nur. I haven't read all 500 pages of the document Reparations. It's not in there. I don't see it. I haven't read it all. 1821, Vicente Guerrero, a man with a big old afro, was the general that made this Mexico in 1821. Second president of Mexico. First thing he did when he got in office is end slavery in Mexico, which just happens to be where we're standing on, in California. Now, I haven't mentioned the Native American because y'all don't talk about that when we talk about reparations. But the land that we're standing on is Miwok and Nisenan for 10,000 years. And some of them look like us because they were dark-skinned and cousins, and they got trapped in that negro since this was Mexico. You fast forward to 1844, and the brother talked about 30,000 acres. That was good. That's good. That's a good start. But when we start looking at, right over there is the library, over there is the archives. You start looking at primary source documentation. I said it before. The whole state was named after an African woman. And the land was Native American people. And they were mixed with people of African descent. William Alexander Leidesdorff Jr., the African founding father of California. Kelly's boss. At that time, he worked in this building. Assembly Concurrent Resolution 131. The African founding father of California. He had 35,521 acres. That was just his ranch. He built the port of San Francisco. He built the first public school in California. He built the port of San Francisco, the richest city in America today. If you do the math, if you look at the source documentation, if you look at it, he was the elected treasurer. He wasn't a slave. He built the first public school in California, and that school talk about him. So if you want to talk about reparative justice, you got to get to the primary source documentation. On his land, today, this whole week, the misguided, miseducated people, the California Parks Commission is going to decide whether or not there's any efficacy for people of African descent in the gold rush era, 1840 to 1875. It took 15 years to move the word nigger off of their graves. Unknown, moved from Nigger Hill Cemetery by the U.S. government. And this is the whole town. Negro Hill, Negro Bar, Negro village. 1846, the Bear Flag Revolt. That second flag that's flying, it was black men with the top flag that's flying. Right here in Elk Grove at Cosumnes River. And I'm over time, so I'm gonna wrap it up. We won't even talk about the black men with the American flag help make this California. We won't even mention that 10% of the colored troops that fought, bled, and died to preserve the Union that we call the United States of America were black men from California. 1,918. We're going to read all their names next week at Juneteenth. All their names. Over 10% of the colored troops that went plantation to plantation say, wake up, baby, you free. Leave. Where we gonna go? What we gonna do? Some Negroes ain't gonna leave. Some Negroes ain't gonna go. Some Negroes gonna fight on behalf of the Confederate to stay a slave. And they still doing it today. So this week, this special week on the way to Juneteenth, we helped make it a holiday. I was a regional director. As you could tell, some bad things was gonna happen to me if I cuss out my elders. But some of them are stupid as hell. If you're gonna stand up in front of me and talk about fighting for the Confederate in front of me, I'm a veteran. I might get triggered and pop a cap in your ass. So this week, I'm gonna ask my mama nicely. Mama, pretty please, will you come with me? Because I might be on good behavior if my mama was there, from Alabama. But the notion that you're gonna negate the historical legacy of people of African descent in California on my watch, 50 years in the trenches, on the front lines of the battlefield. Now I'm a general. I'll call coordinates. I'll call the Secretary of the Army from San Diego. Blast these some bitches off the face of the earth. One more again. Send general orders to blast them to hell. Dishonoring the whips, the rapes, the the most demonic thing on the planet that happened to people of African descent. You're not going to ask me to forget or forgive. So as I came here, I'm going to ask the ancestors to forgive me if I didn't say enough, if I said the wrong thing in a way that was inappropriate. Y'all know the intent of my heart. But there is a level of humanity for the entire United States of America on front page of world news. Why you call them niggers? And now you're not even gonna give them a holiday. It's a federal holiday. Well, what is Juneteenth? Well, it's whatever you want to make it to be. On the way to reparations, stop and take a look at Juneteenth.
All right, you're gonna make me follow that. Appreciate you, Michael. Next, we are going to, don't worry about stuff is flying. That's all right. It's windy out here. We got a good breeze. That is good because it was hot yesterday. It was hot the day before, and it's not as bad today. So we are thankful for the breeze. We are thankful for the cooling that's going on. So if you see stuff flying around, don't worry about it. It's all good. We're going to our next speaker. Our next speaker is, I don't believe we have Sam here yet, right? No, Sam. So we're gonna go to someone who, no, not sorry. We have two Sams. We have Sam Harris and we have Samuel Brown who's here. But next we're gonna go to someone who's actually testified to the State Reparations Commission. Yes. And I am very honored to bring to you none other than Dr. Christy Higgins, who's going to talk to us about generational trauma. Please put your hands together for Dr. Christy Higgins. Doctor, please.
right? Maybe. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I think this should be good. And I want to thank Michael. And I'm like, really? I got to go after that brother right there? And yet, what an honor just to have an opportunity to talk with you all, to share some of what I know and what I've been doing. I want to give honor definitely to our ancestors. I want to make sure as well to give honor to that task force, the California Reparations Task Force, that has taken an honest and hard look at all of the information that we have to share about our history and what that means. I am actually good friends with Dr. Cheryl Grills, and want to give a quick shout out to her, one of the members, and then just talk a little bit about what I do and why I'm maybe invited to speak here with you all. So as Chris mentioned, I'm a doctor, I'm a psychologist actually, right? So dealing with mental health and specifically what it means for us as Black people, and given our history, how our mental health, our wellness is impacted because of all of the things that we've been through, and whether it's us personally or we're talking about our history in terms of our ancestors and what they've been through. And so when we talk about reparations, sometimes people who are not Black identified, aren't people of color or marginalized, are like, what do you even mean? And why are we just giving money in the form of reparations? And I want to just make sure that we are aware, and I'm sure those of you who are listening are, that reparations has to do with repair, right? It has to do with repair of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of wrongdoing and abuse and harm that has impacted Black people. From our enslavement, because we were and are powerful, strong people long before our enslavement. And yet through that process, through that narrative and that story that has been told about our supposed inhumanity, we have continued to suffer. Excuse me, I got to get to my notes. All right. So when we think about, again, our history, and when we think about what reparations mean, it's about repairing that harm, those hundreds of years of harm, these historical wrongs, and then realizing that they're still showing up right now, right here, right? Right? So repair has to do with acknowledging that this has happened, recognizing that harm has happened, and that it continues to be part of the unfortunate legacy and history of the United States and really the world when we think about the diaspora. So we need to not deny the reality of white supremacy, how it has and how it still does negatively impact Black people. And specifically recognizing that we're talking about the US government, right, and the role that it has played in our inhumanity. So when we think about our historical inequities, we are at the bottom of every list, unfortunately, right? When we think about disparities with wealth, with housing, with health, with education, there are all these ways in which we have continually been placed at the bottom of every bad list. And yet we are not bad people. We are strong, incredible people. And so reparations for that harm and the ways that it can show up can take lots of different forms. I heard someone once define the idea or give the analogy of a physical wound, right? So let me ask this brother right here, if you were riding that bike over there, you fell down the stairs, you broke your leg, you had to go somewhere, where would you go? You probably go to the hospital, right? So if we have a physical injury, we're typically much more likely to seek support around that. When we think about reparations and we think about if this brother broke his leg and all of that happened and he went to the hospital, there'd be all kind of comprehensive support. If he had a combine fracture, which means his bone was sticking out of his leg, he wouldn't just walk home, right? There'd probably be a surgeon involved. There'd be a nurse. There'd be a pharmacist that's going to give him some medication, right? There may be somebody who's there to help with the sutures afterwards. He's got all kinds of support. And when we're thinking about reparations, that's what we're talking about. How do we provide support to us as Black people in all the different ways that we know that we need and that we deserve, right? And we know that reparations have already happened and it existed historically for folks who were not Black identified. We know that in terms of land transference, the original land that was promised by President Lincoln and then broken by Andrew Jackson was given back to those slave owners, right? So let's think about ways that we can be repaired. whether it's investment in Black community members and scholarships, jobs, addressing the trauma explicitly that we're experiencing, but thinking about that compensation in terms of the unpaid slave labor, the terrorism that we experienced for those hundreds of years. So let's think about the reparations we need for Jim Crow, sharecropping, Black codes, redlining, all of that is part of our history. So in closing, I want to just mention that we know the history is still occurring today. When we talk about Black racial trauma, anti-Blackness, we have what just occurred in Buffalo. We know our local issues, and justice for Black people means justice for all of us. So I want to close with a quick quote. My apologies, my notes are not working the way I would like to. But let me close with this quick notes here. Quick quote. All right, and the quote is from Nelson Mandela, and it reads, "To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." So let us cast off those chains. Let us connect with our humanity in all of the ways that we deserve. Ashe.
Bringing me back up here after these powerful speakers. So thank you, Dr. Higgins. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for your testimony to the Reparations Commission and for talking to us about what repair can look like, actually. And what I want to do now is go to our next speaker. I'll bring one more in, and then we're actually going to go to a speaker who's going to be speaking virtually, I believe, from right on. So do we have, so we're actually going to go right now to someone who I talked about earlier, who has done something very important for all of us here in the state of California, and is continuing to do stuff that's very important for us here in the state of California. This brother, I met this brother, I feel like it was a few months ago, actually. I met this brother early this year, and immediately I knew this brother was special. I know he was doing special work. The brother is going to talk to you about who he is. I'm not even going to go too much more into that, but I want to get right to it and bring up none other than Samuel Nathaniel Brown. Sam, please come on up, talk to us about what you're doing. Give Sam a hand, please.
Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna take it out, and thank you to everybody that's here. So my name is Samuel Nathaniel Brown. I am the co-founder of the Anti-Violence Safety and Accountability Project, known as ASAP, along with my wife right here, Jamelia Land. Okay, thank you. I am the co-chair of the California Abolition Act Coalition. I have an Associate's of Arts in Social Science, an Associate's of Arts transfer degree in Sociology. About almost 2 weeks ago, I walked the stage at Cal State LA, graduating magna cum laude. Thank you. With my Bachelor in Communication Studies, right? I wrote an amendment to the California Constitution known as ACA 3 to end involuntary servitude and slavery in the California prison system. And I've been out of prison for about 175 days. I served 24 years, right? And I'm extremely happy to be here standing and speaking with you all on the front line, fighting for reparations, but also for ending slavery. And so I just want everybody to say with me, reparations now. I can't hear y'all. Reparations now. Thank you very much. Say end slavery now. Oh, this is so beautiful. One more time. End slavery now. That's right. And so I'm fresh off the plantation. I heard Bishop Williams say earlier that Martin Luther King said we need to keep the children out of the field and inside of the schools. And I thought that was so profound because I'm fresh off the field. I'm out of the field right now. And there's a misconception that's told to everybody in the public narrative about rehabilitation is that people commit a crime, they get incarcerated, and work is synonymous with rehabilitation. That's not true. Work is not synonymous with rehabilitation. Work is synonymous with slavery in this system. Work is synonymous with maintaining the white supremacist mentality and what's the word that I'm looking for? A system that's been in place for quite some time that decimates communities of color, takes away our most popular, takes away our most important resource, the black man, destroys the family, and fills the coffers of private prison corporations and people who benefit from the prison industrial complex, right? And that's what needs to be understood. That's what's taking place today. And to give you a better understanding of what I mean when I say that I'm fresh from the plantation and fresh off the field, all of those accolades that I just shared with you, the degrees, the associates of arts, the bachelors, had I missed one day of work while I was inside that prison system, had I said, no, I would not report to work today, then they would have hit me what's known as the modern day whip, the 115, the 128. And once I received that, I would have had to go to the Board of Parole hearings because I had life. I had a life sentence. Once I received that modern day whip, those 115 lashes, when I appeared before the Board of Parole hearings, they would have said, well, we're going to deny you the opportunity to go home because this 115 represents that you are unreasonable risk to society. It didn't matter that I took thousands of hours of self-help programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, personal development, the 10P program, none of that mattered. What was most important was that I showed up for work every day, that I did. And my job, when I was incarcerated, the last job that I held, I was a healthcare facility maintenance worker. I was the first person in the state of California to enter inside of a cell where somebody tested positive for COVID-19. I was the first person in the state of California to have to go inside of an office where the staff member who brought the COVID-19 into the prison system tested positive at. I had to go clean and disinfect that. Now, I'm asthmatic. I've had a collapsed lung, and I have a high morbidity rate for COVID-19. And I expressed that to my supervisors. I said, I'm going to go do my job, but I don't want to go in here every single day. There are people dying in New York. People are dying in Spain. I'm familiar with the influenza 1919. You understand? And I don't want to just go in here and die. Mass incarceration is a smorgasbord for a pandemic. We're just sitting here waiting to get feasted on. And so as I explained this to them, they thought I was joking initially. And I said, well, I'm not going to go every day. But once I took that day of work off, they came and told me, you need to come in here and go to work and go disinfect these cells and clean these cells and put your life on the line. Despite the fact that I was only like 45 days out from the Board of Parole hearings. So I could not say no. Because once I would have received that 115 for not going to work for one day, this is slavery. This is what we're talking about. One day for not going to work, one day when I went to the board, they would have said, we require you to do 5 years minimum disciplinary free before we even consider letting you out. We need 5 years disciplinary free to even consider letting you off the plantation. And that's the underground rule. That's not written anywhere in the books. That's the underground regulation. Then, based on Prop 9 and Marcy's law, the denials start at 15 years. They would have had to deny me for 15 years. Then if there was mitigating evidence, the denial would have came down to 10 years, and then 7 years, and then 5 years, and then the lowest they can go is 3 years. Forget about the fact that I've done thousands of hours of self-help programming. Forget about the fact that I've assessed myself and I no longer allow my traumas to control my decisions. Forget about the fact that I've helped thousands of people. I've created programs. I've facilitated programs inside the prison system. Forget about all that. This is not what's told to the public. This is not in the best interest of public safety. This is not in the best interest of rehabilitation. This is in the best interest of maintaining a positive income flow for the people who benefit from the plantation. So when we talk about reparations here today, we need to be really mindful that slavery is still not ended. Slavery has not ended. That chapter has not closed. When we talk about Juneteenth and celebrating the end of slavery, that's premature because slavery has not ended. California is the biggest plantation state in the Union. With 36 plantations, they achieved the goal that they sought to achieve in 1849 when they wanted to extend slaveholding territory and make California part of the Union. That's what's happening here today, right now. And it's up to us to change that. When someone goes inside the prison system, they're not going there to become better dishwashers or better trash pickers. You want a person to go inside and realize what caused them to adopt criminality as a coping mechanism for their unprocessed traumas and then come out better than when they went in. That's what it's supposed to be about. And we have an opportunity to do that once we remove slavery from the books. But long as slavery is in place, then the part of reparations that talks about rehabilitation, the part of reparations that talks about making sure that this travesty never occurs again cannot be fulfilled. So we need to end slavery also. We need to close the loophole in the California Constitution. So we need y'all to come out and vote yes on ACA 3. Tomorrow we have a hearing before the Senate Elections Committee. I will be testifying and my wife will be testifying. We need people to show up to this Capitol and show support for this bill. We need you to call in and show support for this bill. Show support for reparations. Show support for ending slavery. Show support for us evolving in our collective shared humanity. Because we can do it. It's 2022 and we can evolve. This parade that you just saw today, this love and everybody out here, this is a demonstration of us evolving in our shared humanity. But this is not a straight issue or a gay issue or a black issue or a white issue or a blue issue or a red issue. This is an issue of humanity, of morality, of integrity. You understand what I'm saying? So this is something that we can all get behind. So one more time, y'all, reparations now. That's right, reparations now. End slavery now. Thank you. Thank you. That's right.
This guy. Oh man. My dude. This is way too tall for me up here. What is this? Yo. So I mean, I don't have words to say how much I appreciate Sam and I appreciate the work that he's doing. His bill will come to us as a proposition sometime probably in November as a proposition. Doesn't have a number yet, so it'll be like prop number this, prop number that. It will be the first time we actually officially completely end slavery here in the state of California when it actually happens. So this will come to us this year. You will have a chance this year to help make this happen. So keep that in mind. And as Sam said, there will be hearings tomorrow here in the right behind me in the Senate Elections Committee. So you can call in, give public comment. We'll have information on that up, by the way, on our Twitter. It's at CJEC Official on Twitter. Also, CJECofficial.org is the website. But at CJEC Official on Twitter, we'll have information about how you can support what's going on tomorrow. Call in, give public comment, say, yes, you support ACA 3 and you want the senators to vote for it. All right, I'm going to try to hurry up and get to our next speaker here. And my production team behind me will tell me if we have our virtual testifier here yet. Camila. Next, I have Gary, and then I have Camila. All right, so let me bring up Gary. There. So I want to bring up next someone who's going to talk to us about Juneteenth, which is just 1 week away from today, one week to the day away from today. And there's going to be a lot of Juneteenth celebrations going on all across the state. We're going to be, by the way, shameless plug here, we're going to be in LA next week in Leimert Park. Please be there. We got a whole weekend of Juneteenth events going on. Plus, we got a reparations listening session in Leimert Park. On the 18th, we got a mixer for reparations at Hot and Cool Cafe. Starts at 12 noon. At 12 noon at the Pullman Community Arts Center, we will be having a sit-down reparations listening session for Juneteenth. So Juneteenth is coming up, and I'm going to bring somebody up here who's been doing a lot of great work here in the city of Sacramento about Juneteenth. Give it up for none other than Gary Simon. Gary, come on up here, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, Chris. To the Reparations Committee, blessings and thank you for what you all are doing, the work you all are doing. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. So, Brother Brown, that is a great. I want to support you and commend you on your journey, brother. That is something that it's impressive that you were able to get through that system, because that system is no joke. As you said, I didn't know about the 115 or whatever that was, but like you said, it's another way of just keeping you there. You know what I mean? So Juneteenth has a lot of levels. And to Doctor, we're going to address trauma at Juneteenth this year as well, because that's a part of our infliction. Current day reparations is a part of that. But all of these are just the end results of a time in history that I reflect on as what they call the Reconstruction era. The Reconstruction era was the era after the Civil War and after we had become freed. So Reconstruction was about the government's first attempt at reparations. The Reconstruction era is where we were supposed to get the 40 acres and the mule. The Reconstruction era is where we were supposed to get, well, we did get the 13th Amendment, which basically outlawed slavery in the United States of America. The 14th Amendment, which basically said that every freed person in America is a U.S. citizen. And then the 15th Amendment was added, the right to vote. So all of these rights were given to us during the Reconstruction era, which was from 1865 to 1877, after the Civil War. So with that 13th Amendment, Brother Brown was talking about prison, okay? The 13th Amendment said that slavery is outlawed in the United States and is illegal except for those who have committed a crime, okay? So except for those who have committed a crime. So what did America do? They made it a crime for you not to work or have a contract with the white man. So during Reconstruction era, so then we had the black codes. Everybody familiar with black codes, the black codes? Okay, and the vagrancy laws, right? So all of these laws became crimes, which once you committed that crime, put you in prison. And then guess what you did when you went to prison? You worked that same field that you were working as a slave. So when Brother Brown says modern day slavery, that's for real. That was on the books. They wrote it up just that way. So with this year's Juneteenth, and I'm gonna get to giving you the details about what we're gonna do at Juneteenth and give you the dates and all of that. But all of these topics that we talked about today, we're gonna discuss and talk about at the Juneteenth Festival this year, beginning on dates this Friday. This current Friday, we go from 6 to 9 in William Land Park with the gospel concert. And then we'll follow that up with Saturday from 11 to 6 in William Land Park with a day of festivities. We'll have speakers representing the prisoners with children. Matter of fact, prisoners with children will be speaking on Saturday as well, because they're pushing for the modern day slavery, the ending of the modern day slavery, but they're also talking about the trauma that affects these children of the men that go to prison. So the trauma is continual for us, folks, and it's real for us as a nation. So we talk about reparations. Of course, a check is good, but we got a lot more work than that to do. Like the doctor was saying, the total repair. The total repair needs to happen in that reparations piece. A check is good, but the total repair. So with that, we're going to address all of those issues. On Friday night, we're going to do a healing ceremony. Healing ceremony meaning, for those that our theme actually is violence, the trauma, and the healing. That's our theme for Juneteenth this year. So with that, we're going to address the trauma of the children, from the children, prisoners with children. We're going to address the trauma from the violence that we inflict on each other, and of course the police inflict on us, and have been since that Reconstruction era, folks. Study or learn that Reconstruction era, because that's what set the tone for America's isolation, oppression, and neglect of that black person, that new freed man. That's where all the books came, that's where all the laws came in to keep that black man down. That was the blueprint. That's the blueprint. The Reconstruction era wrote the blueprint. Andrew Johnson, doctor mentioned Andrew Johnson. That was the worst thing that could have happened. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Andrew Johnson became the president, and Andrew Johnson was a Confederate Southerner from Tennessee. He was a country boy. So what he do? He gave all the Confederate folks all their land back, and dismantled the whole Reconstruction plan that Abraham Lincoln had put together, where we were going to get the resources, the land. We were going to get the ability to sustain and maintain ourselves. Creation of the Freedmen's Bureau. Everybody familiar with the Freedmen's Bureau? Okay. The Freedmen's Bureau was about protecting, bringing the Union soldiers into the South to protect those black freedmen, to give them the protection so that when they got their land, when they confiscated the Confederate man's land, the white folks didn't come back over there trying to kill somebody, right? So Johnson erased all of that. Freedmen's Bureau set up a bank when the brothers started farming and making money. Johnson, after a 3-year period, the bank just disappeared, dissolved itself. And with all the money, all the $3 million that the brothers lost, they had put into that bank, the Freedman's Bank. It was for real. The brothers had $3 million in that bank, just wiped away. So when we talk about reparations, it starts right during this period, because this is when we lost everything. We didn't get anything. So all that free labor that we had done for the 250 years before that, right, was trying to be corrected at that point. But then they took that away too. So that whole thing. So the Reconstruction era is the place to start. But we're going to do our Juneteenth festival. This is Sacramento's 19th annual. This is our 19th annual Juneteenth festival starting on Friday night on the 17th, the 18th, and then we'll go off on Sunday, all in William Land Park. I hope to see you all out there. I am glad that we have tied in with the trauma this year, as well as the prisoners with children, and all of the modern day slavery stuff, because it's not over. It's not over. That's why we're still suffering now. That's why the police still killing us now, because it's not over. The system is continuing to roll. Nothing has changed. Amendments don't change anything because the Constitution was never rewritten. So if it's never been rewritten, then it's not going to change, right? You're just adding stuff to it. So anyway, with that, Gary Simon, you all, I hope to see you all on the 17th, 18th, and 19th at William Land Park. And kudos to the team here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming. We have one more speaker, Chair Camila Moore. She's going to be speaking. Now, if you have access to the internet right now, you can go onto our YouTube page and you can see Camila, but you will be able to hear her as she speaks. So right now we're going to get her on for Chairman or Chairperson Moore, and she's going to be actually talking about the historic report that was released. I think Chris is doing this thing. I think it was released 2 weeks ago, but Camila will be able to confirm. So, Chris, can you just tell people about the when the report came out? But Camila's going to actually expand on it a little bit more. I'm just getting her on.
Gotcha. Okay, so while we get set up for our next testimony, our next speaker, who is one of the commissioners for the Reparations Commission, the first ever Reparations Commission in the state, and actually the chair of California's Reparations Commission, Camila Moore. While we get set up to bring Camila in virtually from LA, I want to talk to you a little bit about what my brother just asked me to say, which is to make sure that you have information about the commission's first report, which just came out on June 1st and is available on the commission's website. Actually, I'm gonna keep plugging these on these nice flyers that I made. Scan your phone. It'll take you right to the Reparations Commission website. You can check out the report on the reports tab. And the report is a pretty big report. It's the first in-depth, first deep report on Black folks since the 1960s, since something called the Kerner Commission report. And that is right now available on the commission's website. Like I said, it's a long report. It's 500 pages. So to help us understand the report, help us be able to digest the report in a way that we digest that. I told folks the other day that I haven't read anything 500 pages long. I don't remember ever. I mean, maybe we had a textbook, maybe that was that long, and how we do with reading textbooks. So, and most of my reading now gets done for me, gets done to me, gets actually read to me. So what we're saying is we want to make sure that you get the report and understand the report in a way that's digestible. So every Monday from now until we're done, for the next 12 Mondays or so, there's 12 chapters. So for the next 12 or so weeks, we are doing a live reading chapter by chapter of the California Reparations Commission report on Twitter. You're listening to the reader right now. Okay, so tomorrow 7 p.m. If you're on Twitter, find at CJEC official on Twitter, and also find myself, Chris. It's at Chris Organized Sacramento on Twitter. But if you find CJEC official on Twitter, you'll be able to find where the live reading of the report is. And again, it's the first deep report on Black folks in the state of California since, in the country really, since the 1960s, the 1968 Kerner Commission report. So now do I have, okay, so we have our virtual speaker. So right now it is my pleasure to introduce California's first ever chair of the State Reparations Commission, testifying and speaking to us virtually right now from Los Angeles. Please put your hands together for none other than Chair of the Reparations Task Force, Camila Moore. Camila.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name's Camila Moore, and I am the chairperson of the California Reparations Task Force. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be there in person with you today. I will be speaking at my alma mater's Afro graduation. It'll be my first time giving a graduation speech, and so I definitely plan to bring reparations to them. And you know, this rally has been electrifying and a pleasure to watch virtually. So the California Reparations Task Force is the first task force in the nation, right? We've beat even the federal government in, right? Accepting accountability in terms of California, accepting the accountability for anti-African American sentiment and atrocities. And in this 500-page report, there are 13 chapters. And in each chapter, right, there's a state breakdown and a nation breakdown. So the statewide breakdown in each of the chapters clearly demonstrates the state of California's role in perpetuating what we call the badges and incidents of slavery, right? The afterlife of slavery that still impacts African Americans today. And then also in each chapter, there's a nationwide breakdown, which clearly demonstrates the federal government's role in perpetuating the atrocities against the African American community. And in all, what we conclude, right, in this nearly 500-page report is that reparations are owed to the African American community on a city or municipal and state and national level as well. I want to take the rest of my time to point out a few of the preliminary recommendations in this report. It's interesting, and I have to note, right, that this report is what we are characterizing as an interim report. Right, so in this 500-page report is the evidence we've collected since we first met in June of last year. And there's some preliminary recommendations in there as well. But this next year, right, the final year of our work will be dedicated to having substantive conversations with my other task force members about what does reparations look like in light of all of the evidence and information that we've collected over this past year that is culminated inside of this 500-page interim report. And so in our second report that will be released next summer in July of 2023, that report will contain, right, the final recommendations for what reparations should and could look like in the state of California. And whatever is in that final report, it's going to be up to you all as the public, right? Because as a reparatory justice scholar who studied international law and human rights law more in depth, right, I can tell you that the descendant community, the victim group, the victim community is supposed to lead what reparations looks like. So it's not necessarily up to the 9 members on the task force to ultimately decide what's in those final recommendations. It's going to be up to community engagement and participation. And I'm looking forward to working alongside you all in this next and final year to finalize what reparations should look like to the descendant community. So for the rest of my time, again, I'll go back to some of the preliminary recommendations that are in this report. I want to highlight one of those recommendations is to support ACA 3, which is ending slavery officially in the state of California, as Samuel Brown and Jamelia Land have been fighting for through the ACA 3 campaign. That is one of the preliminary recommendations in our report. But on a more structural level, we're also recommending in this report for the state of California to allocate resources to create an African American or American Freedmen Affairs agency. And that agency would operate like other agencies, right? The Bureau of Indian Affairs or the Bureau of Tribal Affairs or the Bureau of Immigrant Affairs. And that structural physical location, right, throughout the state of California would be a resource hub, particularly for African Americans who descend from chattel slavery, right? That agency would also be responsible for dispensing, right, the actual reparations like compensation, rehabilitation, restitution, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition, which are the 5 forms of reparations under international law. And so I'll end there, but I also would like to take the time to point out some of the data in the report, which clearly makes a claim for why reparations are owed, particularly around the wealth gap. So we found in this report that African Americans have 9 times less the number of assets than white households, right? We found that even in Black professional and managerial households, right, the net worth of Black professional managerial households had a net worth of $38,000, while white professional managerial households had a net worth of $276,000. Single white parents had more than 2 times the wealth at $35,000 of married Black parents at $16,000. And so what that means is that the wealth disparity cannot be explained by a lack of personal motivation and effort and family instability or lack of education, right? The wealth disparity that exists in this country between African Americans and European or white Americans exists because, as the last speaker just eloquently said, right, there was a broken promise of Reconstruction in this country. African Americans, those freed African slaves in 1863 and 1865, right, were demanding, and the promise was met to give them 40 acres and a mule. But due to the broken promise of Reconstruction, the assassination of Lincoln, right, Johnson coming into power and him pretty much stripping away all of the laws that would have protected African Americans, right? That is the reason why this wealth disparity still exists in this country, where African Americans have less wealth, right, collectively than they did in the 1960s. And so, you know, this is why this task force is so important, right? Because we're taking a bold step, right? Since the 1960s, since the Kerner Commission on Civil Unrest, right? We have to also note what was the Kerner Commission about? What were the context around that commission coming to being, right? Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. had just been assassinated in 1968, right? The cities around the country were on fire, right? The Black American community were crying out, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, right? A riot is the language of the unheard. And so the Kerner Commission was commissioned by President Lyndon B. Johnson to address what the African American community needed in light of the civil unrest that was sprouting up around the country, right? And the Kerner Commission, you know, in a lack of better words, yeah, they did advocate for reparative justice. But nothing happened after the Kerner Commission, right? You can note affirmative action in some ways, but you see how that was co-opted, and how African Americans, particularly the working class of the African American community, has not benefited from affirmative action policies. And so, again, still in 2020, you had the George Floyd uprisings where George Floyd was murdered. And again, cities around the country erupted in anger, right? And it shows that from 1968 to now, not much has changed. And in this report, you'll find that in some ways, in terms of outcomes related to health, education, wealth, not much has changed. And actually, things have gotten worse for the African American community or the American freedmen community. And so I'll conclude by saying, read this report with an open heart. Read this report with an open mind. Read it with your friends. Read it with your family. Read it with your professional networks. Read it by yourself. Turn on Audible. Do what you can to really digest this information, because this information is African American history, but more importantly, it's American history, right? And this document needs to be leveraged not only as an educational tool, but as an organizing tool, right? Wherever you are, wherever city you are, because that's the beauty of this report. It's not only focused on California and its localities, right? It's also focused on the federal government and acknowledges that reparations is first and foremost a federal responsibility, but that doesn't negate that states and cities also have to atone and make reparation to the African American community for all the atrocities against that particular group. So thank you again. And you can find me on Twitter at Camila V. Moore. You can also find more information about the report and the task force at oag.ca.gov/AB 3121. You all have a blessed day and looking forward to building with you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Moore. Appreciate that. Yes, Chairperson Moore, Chairperson. Yeah, she said also, one thing she said was that you could read the report on Audible. You're talking to the report Audible right now, okay? I think the only Audible-ish of this is the live reading that I'm doing of the report on Twitter. That may change in Audible if you're listening and you want to put something on it. You know, I'm happy to make an Audible version of the report and put that out there. It's a long report. It's 500 pages. It is, you know, it's a lot in there, but it's a lot that we need to know. And this is the end of the quote study phase of the commission. The next phase of the commission's work for the next year is to actually create the reparations plan, right? That's what we all want to see. We all want to see actually a reparations plan. Many of us know what happened to us. We know what we live. We know what we experience. We know what we hear from our elders and from our ancestors and from our family members and our parents and our grandparents, our cousins, aunts, uncles, ourselves. We know what is wrong. The question that we are answering over the next year is, what do we actually do about what's wrong? And the next year is about what is the reparations plan. So the next report that comes out next year will actually have a plan in it for reparations, and we're going to spend the next year actually creating that plan. That's why we're talking to you, because you need to know that this is going on, and also you need to tell us what you want in that plan. Yes, you need to tell us what reparations should be for you. We talk about the direct compensation. Got to have money. I say it all the time. If it don't have compensation, it ain't reparations. If it don't have compensation, it ain't reparations. No worries. Yes. So let me also say one thing before, and this was our last speaker, by the way. So we are wrapping up. There is a survey that right now is being done by the California Reparations Commission and out right now. Actually, if you go to our website, cjecofficial.org, you can see the survey. And also, thank you very much. I'm getting help here. On your program today, there's a QR code to the bottom, looks like left. If I'm facing you, but bottom right, if you're facing the program, if you scan that code, it'll take you right to the reparations survey. So make sure you take the California Reparations Commission survey. One thing I did want to say as we wrap up is the chair mentioned something that I think Gary Simon, who was here, mentioned something when he was talking about Juneteenth. The report says that California should create something called the California American Freedmen Agency. So many of us identify ourselves as American freedmen because that is who we are as a people. We are the descendants of those who were emancipated. And the state of California is actually recommending, the California Reparations Commission is actually recommending that the state of California create the California American Freedmen Agency as early as sometime, potentially even next year. So California will be, when this is done, California will be the first state to create a Freedmen Bureau style agency since the actual Freedmen's Bureau. And actually, this will be the first specific agency for American freedmen since the actual Freedmen's Bureau was dissolved, as Gary Simon was saying. So there are real recommendations coming out already, but the second report, as I mentioned, will actually have the reparations plan in it. That's coming out next July. All right, so I think that is all for our speakers. All right, so what we want to do, I guess they're getting ready. So what we want to do now to wrap up, first of all, give yourselves a round of applause for actually coming out on a Sunday, talking about reparations, being here for reparations. Appreciate everybody. Yeah. We are going to wrap up pretty much now on time-ish. But before we do, if we could have everybody who's here join us on the stage behind me where Kim is. Looks like she's waving her hands. So we're going to ask everybody who's here who is okay with being in a picture, actually join us behind here. It's going to be a drone group picture. We're going to take a picture together, and then we're going to let you go back to your Sunday and wish you the best and wish you well. And thank you again for being out here. So if you're willing to be in the picture, come on up. Hey, Crystal. What's up? Hey, Crystal. Yeah, let's see if we can get. Yeah, we can maybe see if we can get some help from Mr. Bishop too. So if you want to be in the picture, come on up, and we get you some help up there too, Mr. And we are wrapping up. And appreciate the family who's coming for their next rally. I see y'all. What's up, brother? We see you. We almost done. Shout out to the folks out here doing their work at the state capitol. There's multiple actions going on today. Appreciate it. And when we are out here, we need to be supporting each other. And so I'm happy to support our people who are next at the next rally. So come on up. Let's get a picture together. Come on up. Hold on. Give them a minute. We getting set up. Right on. We taking our time. We're gonna get Bishop Williams up there too. No rush. Right on.
That's the Yoruba community from Oshopo.
Right on. Big shout out to everybody out here doing work out here at the state capitol. There was a lot of actions going on out here today. There was a whole parade. There was there's a bunch of stuff going on. Okay, so shout out to everybody one last time.
So if you were to bring the black share of wealth at least to the black share of the population, it would require an additional at least $10 trillion.
But if we were paid those unskilled wages at a 6% interest rate, we would have $6.2 quadrillion that we would be owed today.
Reparations is the case. The story have black folks come and talk about what kind of hell they live, and have people have to listen.
Reparations will set us free.
Doctor, is your practice located in the Bay Area?
So I don't see people individually. I do more community healing work, but I'm here in Sacramento.
Okay.
Are you?
I'm open.
Oh, you're open.
Yeah, but I want to thank you for everything that you said and what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries, man. What's your name, man?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks again. All right, talk to you later. All right, so thank y'all very much. Y'all take care, man. So I had, return to home. Right on. Can I get a picture with you? Right when I take it, return to home and start moving. So I heard the picture. That's why I started a little bit out of frame. I got video of that. Right when I was framing the shot, is it return to home? I have other videos, but not of this. I'll send you all the stuff. Yeah. Hey, what if you think about getting get a car? You there's one this is you hook up into your controller, so you don't have to put it down.
Cookies, cookies, cookies. Nice to meet you, and thank you so much.
get a remote. So on the remote, you got these things right here. So you screw these in, so you can wear this around your neck and let go of it. This is like $10, but you definitely. I'm gonna give all this to him. I gotta say, well, Larry got to work. Yeah, I would love to. Can I schedule, we just built what? Okay. Will we either be me or Larry?